Richard.
Raymond.
William.
Richard. Raymond.
Bill.
Nice to see you, boys. Love the Patriots hat. Rich.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
1996 retro.
I like it.
Is that from 1996?
Yeah.
I can tell.
Your
mother
buy
keistered it since then.
in a plastic bag. I don't buy
Preserves anything.
Airtight.
It's like a mummification of Patriots hats.
And sorry, Big Ray.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't go on the internet and buy things from 1996. I just keep them. They're that old now. That's how old we are.
Well, you live in a hipster nation, so you probably bring out all.
This isn't hipster. I just have things from when I was that age.
I don't. I throw things away.
I throw them away because they don't fit me anymore.
Well, clearly it fits me.
Good for you. Congrats.
That's why I still have condoms from 1996 too.
Never wore them.
They might have been. What the fuck is a condom?
Yeah, I'm with Bill on this.
Lanolin.
Lanolin. What?
Sheepskin.
The only thing
Read a fucking book, Bill. Read a fucking book.
He has chew over on the coffee table right over there.
The only thing I know is pump, pull. Blah. Hopefully it gets somewhere not. That's what I go for. That's. Oh, you gotta write that.
Well, I don't know.
That's a shit.
If it does, you just get a straw and suck it out,
and then blow it in your mouth.
Yeah, 625 to 626. That's all gonna be.
It's called felching, Ray. Read a book.
I thought that was shrimping.
It's called what?
I thought it was shrimping.
The fuck is shrimping?
When you blow and you take a fucking suck it out.
Oh, man, that's a new one on me.
I
thought it was felching when I mom and then I. That's what we call felching.
Felching.
625 to 626. Shrimping. Felching. Google
60
later. Welcome to the Simple Minds Sports Show, Fat Tuesday edition, March 23rd. Welcome to the show. You guys use a lot of vocabulary that I'm not aware of.
Those aren't beeps, though. Don't worry.
No, we've never had a 2-minute long beep. This should be interesting. At this point in time, I'd like to thank our sponsor, White Birch.
Can we suck that beer out of with straws or no?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a...
Is a 3-minute beep?
I'm not sure if White Birch has a shrimping clause, but if they do, I would go down to Nashua, New Hampshire and find out. Ray, address, please.
460 Hammer Street.
Thank you. White Birch Brewing. Get yourself a flight. Get yourself a pint. It's still March Madness. The games are starting up later this week. Head on down there. They got a TV. It's flat screen. It's nice. If you see it in the store, pick it up. Tell them the Simple Minds boys sent you. White Birch Brewing. All right, you guys going to be okay? Anything else you want to get off your chest? Ray, Bill, you have put more smoke into that camera today than I have seen since we've been doing the show. Are you all right?
Understatement.
You're still relegated to the basement because your mom and aunt are menage a troising upstairs?
Scissoring sister.
Yeah, they're half sisters, so it's game. They're not full blood.
It's not that time. The moon's not in the right place.
Is that why they moved to south?
Oh, man. All right. That was a lot of debauchery. We got somebody that was not happy with our cold open the other day on the internet because we talked about poop. So I'm sure this one should go over well.
Oh, we got an email of the day?
No.
No, just some guy. Boys, you want to talk some football?
Who's your friend?
Want to talk football and pretend we know what we're doing? How does that sound? No? Should we just end it now? Should we keep going?
No, let's talk football.
Should we keep going with the period talk and fucking eyeballs or whatever the hell you guys
That'd
are
be nice.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind that as well. Either or. Dealer's
look,
choice.
I would like to talk football. The
I would
Patriots
love
have
to talk football.
The Patriots have gone bananas in free agency, as we've discussed before, but we haven't really talked about how that translates on the field. We haven't really looked at the roster now. It's currently constituted, and I would like to do so. I sent you an email today with some questions. Didn't really think about them, so we're just going to kind of wing it today. How's that sound?
Love it.
Let's take a look at the depth chart and decide. Well, actually, let me ask you individually what you think the number one strength of this Patriots team is, and then we'll look at the depth chart. Hope you have different answers, and we'll look at 2 depth charts. Ray, I'm going to start with you, because Bill's probably going to interrupt you at some point.
Of course,
anyway. So
of course,
go
because
ahead.
I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to go offensive line. I gave
Okay.
it a grade of an A. I mean, you have Wynn, Onawu, and Nawu. I can't ever say it.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, close.
Andrews, Masons,
you're
Brown,
using the wrong
Aaron,
letters. That's why you can't
Harris.
say the name correctly.
You have depth now at fucking offensive line. You have people like if someone gets hurt, we actually can fill it in with someone that's knows what they're doing and not shuffling around and having a fucking 4-string guy come out there that plays center going to guard. So I think you have depth. I think you have all pros on the offensive line now that you can actually help this run game out, help block for Cam Newton because Cam Newton's going to be your fucking starting quarterback week 1. So yeah, I'm going with offensive line.
All right, let's take a look at the offensive line depth chart and see what we think about that. Now, I'm looking at the Patriots. I'm going to switch to ESPN because they are not showing David Andrews at center, which over the weekend, breaking news. David Andrews back with the Patriots. Let's touch on that for just a second.
4 for 19.
Can you believe this fucking deal?
Jesus Christ, Rich. We touched about it on, I think, a Saturday when we were talking 4 for 19. I think up to $10 million guaranteed in the first 2 years. We were talking about David Andrews getting a hometown discount, maybe $7-8 million.
We were wrong.
We weren't talking about him taking a
half.
You know, we mentioned he was gone at $10 million a year, especially once Tooney signed. I know they don't play the same position, but you know, you saw Rodney Hudson get cut with a $15 million dead cap. The guy from Washington signed for 4 for 40 and at $40.5 million. So it's like shit. David Andrews come back for basically a $10 million deal for 2 years is a fucking steal. You want to talk about hometown discount? Jesus fucking Christ!
It has to be hometown too, right? So just to
God.
follow the story there, David Andrews was basically given permission to go test the market. We've seen the Patriots do this before with the Edelmans, the Hightowers of the world.
McCourty almost signed with Philly.
Amendola, I think, did it 1 year, maybe not.
Edelman did it 1 year.
Edelman did it 1 year, almost signed with the Giants, but he came back.
Yeah. McCourty. Then big talks about him going to the Dolphins. Maybe he wised up and figured out that all of these expatriates going to teams with expatriate coaches never, ever work. So
Sergeant Van Noy.
Good on him. Yeah, maybe Van Noy called him and goes, "Nah, don't go south.
Don't bother. Don't do it.
I'm coming north. Stay home." But there had to have been suitors out there for him. Like you said, Washington signed their guy. Arizona signed what's his name from Las Vegas there, who was cut.
Hudson. Rodney Hudson.
Just 32 years old. So like you said, Bill, a hometown discount, or if the market didn't play out for him, you had to expect $7-8 million, maybe. Like he does have some internal, not injury concerns, but health concerns, right? He missed a whole year for heart blood clots. So maybe teams are looking at, okay, no problem. Let's knock a couple million off there. $4 million a year with incentives at 5? No, he had to make a decision that I want to be with the Patriots.
He gets $10 million if he plays. Yeah, he gets $10 million if he plays 32 games. That's incredible. You know, and it sucks for him because I love David Andrews as a player, and if he went somewhere else, I wouldn't hate him. But you know, for him coming in a free agent now, you couldn't predict COVID. You know, you're coming in and you think you're a free agent. You sign a $3 for $9 million deal. I guess you basically doubled that, but you know, you hit free agency at a wrong time, especially be a center. You know, and the Patriots backed up. They didn't think he was coming back. You signed Ted Karras for $4 million deal. He was basically your starting center for about 12 hours.
Even so, though, Bill, he could. Sorry to interrupt you, but he could have signed a 1-year deal. He could have signed a 1-year or 2-year deal to. I guess technically, maybe this is a 2-year. No. This is my point. This when you talk about hometown discounts, in the rhetoric that people don't want to play for the Patriots anymore because Brady is not here. David Andrews. And I expected him gone because there was scuttlebutt that he didn't want to play with Cam Newton because he thought he sucked as a quarterback. David Andrews is a pretty clear-cut case of a big-time hometown discount. I'm taking less money just to play with the Patriots and have the security to be here and be competitive. So with that being said, I think that move alone, I agree with you, Ray, puts him in at least the category for being the strength of your team. So let's take a look at
I have a little different point, but I'll wait.
All right, well, let's wait for a second. So at left tackle, ESPN on the depth chart has Isaiah Wynn starting, Justin Heron backing him up, and something called Corey Cunningham behind him. Left guard, they got Mike Aninwa. Not Aninwa.
Left guard or right guard?
Left guard.
Right guard's Shaq Mason.
I have right guard. I have right guard on here from Mass Live as Shaq
Mass
Mason.
Live is drunk.
Sucks.
Shaq Mason has played right guard his entire
That's
career.
why I was like,
He's
I'm just
$10
making
million
sure.
Very well too. I mean, he's been one of the best right guards in football since they signed him.
Fucking Mass Live. Maybe
they fucked it up. I can see where they fucked up.
Maybe they're looking for someone to get hired. Hey, Mass Live, we're available.
We're available.
Fucking Shaq Mason. Right guard is Shaq Mason. Center is David Andrews, backed up by Ted Karras. 1 year, $4 million. Bill, I want to get your point in this, and Ray, after you. You said you were not a big fan of Ted Karras, and then you snip-snapped when I gave you the correct answer. So why don't we say
weird
on the show?
No, I was not a fan of Ted Karras starting at center.
Is it Karras or Karras? Ted Karras, right?
I think it's Ted Karras. I was not a fan of him. I wasn't a fan of him in the starting lineup, but I think he's a good guard. You saw him fill in 2019 when Andrews was out with blood clots. He did okay, but I don't like him starting. I think he's a good backup, especially because he can play center and guard. I didn't like him at guard. Even at $4 million, I still don't like him at guard. But as a backup, I'm okay with it. You need that backup guard. He can play right, he can play left, and then he can back up Andrews at center. But if he was your starting center or starting left or right guard, I'm not a huge fan of it. But as a backup, I'm okay with it.
Right?
No, I agree. I mean, you need depth on this team. It sucks every year when you see a big injury on the offensive line and there's no one to fucking fill the shoes of any of these players. Now you actually have depth. You have someone that can fill in. You got Ted Karras. You got Justin Heron. I mean, you got guys that actually can come in here and play, that can play big minutes.
Do you know who Justin Heron is? I have no fucking
idea.
Yeah,
he was a 6th-round draft pick out of...
so we don't know if he played. We've never seen him play. We don't know if he can play.
No, he started a couple games when Wynn went out. But, to back up your point real quick, offensive line depth is huge because Wynn's hurt every single year, and then Mason's been banged up, and then Trent Brown in Oakland has played 8 games in 2 years for them.
Hasn't been good. Hasn't been good. Let me give you a support on Ted Karras. Ted Karras in 2019 was actually a terrific pass blocking center, not that great at the run block. So when you're talking about Cam Newton is going to be your starting quarterback, we can get into later. You're going to need a run block, and this starting offensive line, if it all pans out, Isaiah Wynn at left tackle, Mike Aninwa at left guard, David Andrews starting at center, Shaq Mason, and then Trent Brown at right tackle. That's the best rushing offensive line in the league. Hands down, that's it. And Ted Karras backing him up at $4 million apiece. That tells me they didn't know David Andrews was coming back. Nope. And they brought him in because they had money to do it. And that was the best. That was the best alternative that was familiar with the system, because the other thing to keep in mind, David Andrews and Joe Thuney were your signal callers on that offensive line, and you don't have Tom Brady back there anymore, and Cam Newton can't do shit.
Yeah, and so don't forget Tom Brady said he was the best offensive
David Andrews
ever.
Is wildly important for your offensive protection. He makes a world of difference. We saw that in 2019 when that offense struggled until they started to just run the ball. So one more guy on the depth chart.
Little different
Hold on, let me just give you this name before you I don't know who Corey Cunningham is, and I don't know who
from Baltimore,
right? Yodny Kajust. Yannick
Third-
Kajust?
Third
Who's
round pick. I don't think he's played for 2 years. He's just one of those guys they kind of reached on. I think he missed the first year with a blood clot or something, and then last year he got hurt again and missed. He was supposed to be the swing tackle of the future. You saw him last year. He could play guard, he could play tackle, and he's been hurt. I don't expect him to make the team. Honestly, I would still expect him to address the offensive tackle position either in the draft or in free agency, but I don't expect him. That's just
Yeah, look at
another
the email.
wasted third, fourth round pick.
So before you go here, Bill, let's just make the point. They've struck out on the offensive line drafting for quite a few years here. Isaiah Wynn is good, but he's hurt. But they haven't been great. And then last thing I'll say on the offensive line, you have to account for Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith is an excellent blocker as a tight end. Hunter Henry not as well, but he's still he's good at it. He's not as good as Jonnu Smith, but he's good at it. So you add those guys into it. Bill, tell me why it's not a strength.
I still like the secondary. Honestly, I still expect Stephon Gilmore to come back. I know he's coming back at $7 million. I think his cap hit's like $16 million. I expect that to be addressed. I think you still have money to play with. You just saw Fuller get cut by the Bears inside for $9.5 million with Denver. I think that's a good benchmark for Stephon Gilmore. They're roughly the same age, 31 years old. I still think that's the strength of your team. I think J.C. Jackson coming back on a second round tender. You know, you're getting him back for another year. I don't think a team's going to really pony up the cash to get him. He had 9 interceptions last year. That's the strength of your team. Joe Williams backing up. Jalen Mills. I know you just lost Patrick Chung, but you still get Devin McCourty. Duggard, I think, is going to take another year. He's going to take that second year leap. I thought he was very well. He played very good last year in the minutes that he got and the snaps that he was getting. I just think that
Adrian Phillips. Don't forget Adrian Phillips.
Adrian Phillips there. You lost Terrence Brooks and stuff. You're going to bring back Jason McCourty.
Well, so I can give you the depth chart here. I just want, no,
that's where I'm going. I just think you have all pros.
So let me. I agree. I think if Stephon Gilmore comes back to play, and J.C. Jackson comes back, then yeah, your secondary is a strength. Is it the strength? We can debate, but left. So let's just go through ESPN here. Left cornerback J.C. Jackson. Behind him is something D Virgin. Nope.
That's Bill hasn't seen that in 60 years.
That's what I took from. That's what I took from Ray's mom in 1969.
Nice.
Michael Jackson. We saw him. I don't know, 3 plays last year. Where they get him from? Detroit, maybe.
He's still looking at the man in the mirror.
Strong safety, you got Adrian Phillips, Kyle Duggar, Brandon King, and they just re-signed the Cody Davis kid for special teams. Free safety, Devin McCourty obviously is back there. Jalen Mills is slotted in here at free safety and at cornerback. Jojuan Williams, I know you keep bringing him up, Bill, and you're a big fan of this guy, but this kid was I'm sorry, he was a zero last year. He was an absolute zero.
The first couple games,
Justin
he was good,
Bethel. Did you guys know Justin
he's
Bethel?
More
on the official
he's special teams. But
I know that, Bill. If you would shut the fuck up for half a second, the joke was Justin Bethel has a position, just like Matthew Slater has a position. I didn't know Justin Bethel was positioned at free safety. Did you? I knew that he is a stud.
That's stupid ass Bill.
Teamer.
Of course he knows.
Sorry.
Justin Bethel plays special teams. No shit, Bill. No shit.
You don't say.
Fucking Christ. Stephon Gilmore at right cornerback. Jalen Mills is slotted behind him. Jonathan Jones, we know, is in the slot more often than not. And Miles Bryant. Miles Bryant, number 45 in your program, had a couple big interceptions last year.
He played well, but I mean,
he was the next Malcolm Butler. If they didn't have J.C. Jackson, I think he'd be starting over on the left side, honestly.
Thanks God you didn't say Jason McCourty slotting behind anyone.
He'll be
no
back.
Jason McCourty on here, but
he's
getting interest from other teams.
Bullshit.
No, he's got a couple. So, okay, the strength, Bill, tell me why it's the strength.
I mean, they're man-to-man corners. You saw 2 years ago, Defensive Player of the Year in Stephon Gilmore. He's coming back. J.C. Jackson, 9 interceptions last year. I just think this is what Bill wants to play, and you're seeing it. There's a reason, he's not traded Stephon Gilmore yet, and I just think this is the strength of the team. Devin McCourty still, you've re-signed him to big money to back him up, and then you're seeing adding to fucking Jalen Mills that could play all over the field. He's a Swiss Army knife. You addressed it last year with with Duggard. I just think this is, on paper right now, this is there's not a lot of question marks in this team. I still think that you have some question marks in the offensive line with the health of Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn. You don't really know where they're going to play. I get it as projections, but you could play Trent Brown at left tackle or Isaiah Wynn and vice versa on the right tackle. I just think there's still a good amount of question marks. And I just think right now, if you're bringing back Gilmore, Jackson, McCourty, now you just re-sign Mills, Phillips, you bring back Duggar. I just think that's the strength of your team right now until you tell me otherwise, because there's no question marks. If those guys are back, that's the strength of your team. I expect, even when Gilmore was healthy last year, he was still one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I know he started off slow. You know, the first 4 or 5 games he was kind of bad, but before he got hurt with the quad injury and the knee injury, he shut down guys. I think his passer rating was under 50. You know, they weren't throwing him in a lot, but he was still there. And you're still you still got good 2 shutdown corners right there. J.C. Jackson's a good number 2 corner behind Gilmore at number 1. And again, there's no question marks there. I just think that they have the biggest depth on the team at cornerback and offensive line, in my opinion.
Ray, looked like you had something to say.
No, I have nothing to say.
Let me throw a third one out there. I disagree that there are no question marks at cornerback. Stephon Gilmore is the key to your secondary, and Stephon Gilmore is the biggest question mark on your defense.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
It doesn't matter if he's going.
He's the biggest trade piece. He is the biggest trade piece you have.
Trade piece? No, he's not. First of all, Jesus fucking. Stephon Gilmore is a 0. From a trade standpoint, he's a fucking 0. Okay? He's nothing. He's nothing. You can get nothing for Stephon Gilmore at this point in time. Ray, stop looking around at your stupid ceiling. Pay attention. Look me in the eyes. You can get nothing for Stephon Gilmore right now. 5th round. You want a 5th round for Stephon?
I think you get a 3rd.
No, you can't. He blew his fucking quad. He didn't play the season. He had an okay season when he was out there. Some games were good, some games weren't. He's due $7 million. His cap's 17. He needs a new contract. He wants to get paid 14. He is worth fucking 0 on a trade market. Nothing. He's a splash in the pan if someone agrees to pay him. That's it. He's coming back to the Patriots. He's going to get paid whatever the Patriots decide they want to pay him, or he's going to sit out. That's Stephon Gilmore. So that's a big question mark for me. Can he be healthy enough to play? He's 30. He's on the wrong side of 30. Is he still as good as he used to be? Is he motivated? That's a big question mark. So that alone, Stephon Gilmore alone, tells me the secondary can't be the strength of their team.
Who would be the strength?
Well, if you gave me a second there,
Sorry.
Billy Rambles,
Sorry,
I could get to that.
Sorry.
If Stephon Gilmore comes back to Stephon Gilmore, Bill, I might agree with you. They might be there. I think they're fucking really deep. I think they're deep, especially at the Adrian Phillips, Kyle Duggar position. Devin McCourty is still one of the best roaming free safeties, center fielders in the NFL, and J.C. Jackson is a stud if they get him back there. So I agree with you, but Stephon Gilmore is too big of a question mark. The offensive line, a lot of good playmakers there. Can I say front 7, or do I have to pick linebacker or D-line?
No, you can say front 7.
Front
that was my second guess.
Pick one or the other.
Front 7.
Front 7 is going to be your strength. That's the way they're going to play defense. And in turn, it's going to make your secondary look really, really good. But your front 7 will be your strength because that's where they're going to focus their coaching. They're going to still add bodies to that position. But as of right now, let me give you some players. Dietrich Wise at D end, followed up with Montravius Adams from the Packers, someone called Rashad Berry, Devin Godchow, from Miami, Byron Cowart. He peaked at times.
Back though? I thought he was looking.
He's back.
I think he's back.
He's back. He's okay.
They got Wise again here. Henry Anderson that you got from the Jets. Bill Murray, not the comedian. We saw him a couple times last year. And then at linebacker, obviously we know what it looks like. You got Judon, they signed. Juwan Bentley in Hightower in the middle. Van Noy in the end, bringing him back. Followed up with Chase Winovich, Terez Hall, who flashed. They just signed this Raekwon. Sorry, Raekwon.
Wu-Tang, motherfucker.
And when did Anthony Jennings get picked? 2nd round? Is he a 2nd round pick? 3rd round? Anthony Jennings is 3rd on the right inside linebacker. Josh Uche is 3rd on the
like I said, I don't expect
strong side linebacker.
Team.
Look, whatever. Bentley or not, he's positioned at left inside linebacker on the depth chart, you're fucking deep. And we just know that Bill Belichick and those guys like to play defense from the front seven in the middle of the field end. And if they can control the game with those guys, you're going to have a really successful season as the Patriots. And I think that's what they're looking to do. And I think the return of Dante Hightower and Kyle Van Noy, believe it or not, and the signing of Judon.
Boogeyman 2.0, guys.
And
right?
don't sleep on Lawrence Guy. Hasn't signed anywhere yet. You might, I'm
Look at him
not
for
saying
pennies
it's
on the
David
dollar.
Andrews.
Well,
Not
I think
saying
the
it's
David Andrews deal,
contract,
yeah,
but
the David Andrews deal has a lot to do with that because if he's
if Lawrence Guy comes
teams
back,
don't
then
have money
forget
to
it.
spend. Teams don't have money to spend. It's a bad year to be a free agent. Their salary cap's down. Coming off a year of COVID, you're down almost 15 million. Guy at this point, I don't expect Guy to go anywhere. I wouldn't even expect maybe to see a 1-year deal. You got the new TV money kicking in next year. You would think guys would do it more. You saw Kenny Golladay sign a 4-year deal. You saw some of these
Big money.
Big money. You would think he might have played. He probably could have got more next year if he's just signed. Say you sign with Detroit 1 more year, play with Jared Goff. You're still going to put up those numbers. Jared Goff, Rob Williams there, Robert Woods, I should say. I mean,
Was it in Detroit?
No, but when he was
all right. So you're getting off subject. So talk to me about the front seven. I if you were to ask me, Ray, I think it's between me and you. I think it's front seven, offensive line, and then the secondary. Look, on any team, the secondary is generally a product of your front seven as well. They go hand in hand. But I just think from a Patriots standpoint, if they can do what they want to do with those guys in the front seven, you're going to see them dictate the game through that core. As opposed to anybody else. And that's where I would make the difference between what the strength is. The offensive line is close because if it's Cam, they're going to run the shit out of the ball. They're going to run the shit out of the ball with the tight ends and play.
What are they going to do?
Run. Any final thoughts on the front seven and those guys?
Nope.
Raekwon McMillan. What's the weakness, Cam Newton?
Yeah, that was the dumbest question you could have asked us.
I've said it before in a couple.
As soon as I saw the email, I'm like, fucking weakness.
No, I've mentioned it before.
Should have said weakness other than Cam Newton.
You're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender.
What's the weakness? 1 through 10. First 9 or Cam Newton? And the 10th?
First,
what's
Cam
the 10th?
Newton.
What's the 10th? Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, of course.
Nick Folk. I'll put it at 11.
You are a fucking Nick Folk hater, man. Come on.
Why are you such a Nick Foles hater, man?
No, it's Cam Newton. But I mean, you're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. We've mentioned it, I think, in our headlines last week. You're a quarterback. If you can address that, whether it's Jimmy G, and I've warmed up to the idea of Mac Jones. You're right there as a contender by the moves.
There's 31 backup quarterbacks that Rich would take over Cam Newton.
Who's the first one? You go with Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is the only one that Rich would not take. Anyone else, Rich would take.
He got his jaw broken because he would have paid someone $600. Not a leader.
No, not a leader.
It's Cam Newton. Can we move fit? Can we just say the entire passing offense? Do we think that Nelson Aguilar,
no,
what's his face from San Francisco? Sorry,
Jason Bourne,
Jacoby Myers, and then throw the tight ends in there. And then who's your pass catching back? So the next question is, where do you need to upgrade?
JJ Taylor,
running back.
You got to go.
I agree.
Back. You got to. James White's still out there. Rex Burkhead, I would expect to be back, but again, coming off of it.
You expect Rex Burkhead? Did you see that injury?
Bill, I don't know if you watched that game.
Yeah, I expect him back in a 1 year cheap money deal. Pupless.
He can't fucking play. What did you get?
Why are you talking contracts? Why have we not talked about skeletons and bones? His fucking knee.
Bill loves him. Bill loves him. He'll be
okay,
fine,
but he can't play.
Does he love fucking quadriplegics too? Throw them all out there.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he
does. The Bill Belichick Foundation says he does.
The only pass catching back you got is JJ Taylor. That's the only one you got right now.
It's definitely running back because you. Outside of quarterback is running back because you've seen him been on Chris Carson before he signed. I forget where he signed. Seattle.
Back with Seattle.
He signed a big deal. Leonard Fournette. You've seen him in on a couple other guys. That's the biggest weakness now because again, Burkhead and James.
You got Brandon Bolden coming back. So
sleep
on that.
Special team.
He played special team. Shit out of Brandon Bolden in 2019. They played the shit out of Brandon Bolden at running back in 2019. Can I ask you a question that has not been asked? I don't think anywhere.
false. He was with Miami on 19, wasn't he? No, was he on that team?
No, I think it was with them in 18. I think he came back.
It came back. Yeah, you're right.
Stump the Rain Man. Can I ask you? I don't think many people are talking about this. Damian Harris and Sony Michel. Do you need both those guys?
Sweetness.
Yes, because neither of them can stay healthy.
Well, that's the only reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good 1-2 punch if they could. I both of them have 1,000-yard potential, but they can't stay healthy.
It's just based on health. It's just based on limiting the hits to them that you sub them out and hope that they can get hot during one game. And so fantasy owners, Bill, don't draft the Patriots running back. That's
never.
That's
or wide receivers.
That's a steadfast rule. But they do need a passing catch. So let's agree, weakness and upgrade outside of Cam Newton at quarterback, just the pass catching. Actually, let me phrase it to you this way. If they get Mac Jones or if somehow Jimmy G comes back here, is the pass catching arsenal on the Patriots, is it still the weakness of the team? Bottom of the barrel weakness of the team?
Yes, because you saw the interest in A.J. Green right now with Cam Newton here. So they're still trying to address the wide receiver position. I know you just spent big money on the top 2 tight ends on the market, but again, you saw trying to get A.J. Green. You got outbid for $8 million, so they're still trying to address that. I don't think N'Keal Harry, I don't think Jacoby Myers are there, and I don't trust Nelson Aguilar. I don't know a lot about the Bourne kid, but the contract they signed seems like it, the kind of the Wes Welker deal back in the day, but you still got to address that. I just
Do we think Edelman hits the field?
Yep.
No, I don't think, honestly.
You think Rex Burkhead's going to hit the field and you don't think Edelman's going to hit the field? What the fuck is wrong with you?
He's drunk.
I think Bill's going to be one of those like, hey, you're not going to make the team, kind of retire, or that's it. I just think that knee is a problem. I think Rex Burkhead can come back from it. I think you saw what happened.
Where are you getting this from?
I'm going to send you some videos later on. I'm going to send you a video.
All right. So to answer actually, Ray, do you have an opinion on that? The weakest part of the team. So pass catching is kind of wide because you have to include the tight ends, which bumps that up, right?
That's why I think it's running back still.
It's wide receivers or running backs. From a positional standpoint, the weakness of your team, it has to be wide receivers, running back, or Nick Folk, depending on what you think of Nick Folk.
Well, I'm not Bill, so I'm going to say running back. Even if you get Jimmy G, I think still running back. Like you said, Sweetness can't stay healthy. Sony Michel can't stay healthy. J.J. Taylor, he's fucking my height and probably weighs half my weight. I mean, there's no fucking way he's going to stay healthy. And then there's
a shame to anybody.
Then Bolden's fucking going to just play special teams. So you don't have that depth like you've had before where you could insert any, running back by committee kind of guy. If these guys get hurt, you're fucked. And you don't have James White back there catching those balls.
Yeah, and James White was an absolute nobody. So we know that the Patriots like to carry 4 or 5 running backs, so you have to think that is.
I think they're going to address it draft time. Get it on the cheap,
so?
Cheap. Third round guy.
They've been in on these free agent running backs. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know. Let's take a actually. Yeah, we haven't done this officially. Let's officially look at the running back depth chart. Damian Harris is number 1 on ESPN. Sony Michel backing him up as number 2. Brendan Bolden comes in at 3. Jakob Johnson, J.J. Taylor, and Danny Vitale. Actually, yeah, that's true. We got 2 fullbacks on the roster here. They signed Danny Vitale last year.
He opted out, right?
He opted out, yeah.
He opted out. They went, after who was the fullback for the Patriots who got neck injury?
Oh, God,
Jesus.
I forgot his name.
Holy shit.
44 in your playbook. God damn it.
My God, this is bad.
Anyways.
Anyway, it'll come to you. After he went down, they have been a string of fullbacks. Injury histories basically knocked them out. I don't expect them to carry two fullbacks on the
I don't.
Fullbacks on the roster.
I thought,
especially with 2 stud tight ends and 2 young tight ends.
Yeah, I expect
way both of them make.
Jakob Johnson.
James Devlin. Oh.
Devlin. Oh, why did I remember?
Christ, that was bad.
That was bad.
Danny Vitale.
We apologize for everyone listening.
Yeah, that was terrible. But Vitale, he's gone. If you look at the kind of writing on the wall that you've seen with these opt-out guys, Chung retired, Cannon gone.
He was 46 in your playbook. God damn.
I don't expect Bolden or Vitale to be on this team, truthfully.
All right. where do they upgrade? And let's combine that. What do they do in the draft? So the elephant in the room, or not so much, is quarterback.
Cam Newton.
But I've said this before, in terms of the draft, look, they went out and spent over $250 million on free agents for this season and next season and maybe the season after to be competitive. I actually do not want them to act that way in the draft. I'd like them to act the same way that they've acted before. If they trade out of 15 and get down to 21 or something and pick up a couple seconds, I won't be surprised, and I don't even know if I'll be that pissed. Because I think, now I know that Bill's draft has been pretty bad recently, but I think you need to start building back up a young core of players on this roster that you have failed at for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So that I don't think that means taking all of that draft capital, trading up for a quarterback in Justin Fields that might be good. I don't like that idea.
And he's never liked that idea. He's never done that.
I don't like the idea. This season kind of trumps everything that Bill Belichick has done. So there's no telling what he's going to do. But I'd like him to build at the front seven through the draft, or offensive line through the draft, or these core kind of positions that are not the hands positions that he sucks at cornerback and wide receiver. Obviously, quarterback's a big one. I think that you have to draft a quarterback. Although Jarrett Stidham is holding quarterback camp out in California for all pass catchers of the New England Patriots. I don't know if Edelman got the fucking memo, because I don't think Edelman's out there. But everyone else, Jarrett Stidham asked to come out to California. So maybe he's the guy, boys. Maybe he's the guy. Where do you see it? What do you think the next move is here with the draft and upgrading and continuing to move in free agency and picking up guys? Like now we're more in what Bill Belichick is used to, guys that are on the trash heap that people have looked over, get them cheap, bring in some guys that are overlooked, waiver wire pickups, and then we get to the draft. What's your thought on all that?
Good. Oh, you want me to go? I don't want him to reach for a quarterback in the draft. I'm fine at 15 if one of the guys falls for you. Like I said, I'm kind of opening up to the idea of Mac Jones. I don't want him to reach. You do need offensive line depth, and especially, and again, I mentioned in our text exchange, Trent Brown, 1 for 11, your right tackle, and Isaiah Wynn, unless you pick up that 5th-year option at left tackle, is gone. They're both basically on 1-year deals at this point. So, I mean, if you're not going to quarterback, it's not going to hurt to address that offensive line. You've seen it in the past. They added Matt Light. They've added who's the guy from
our names suck today. Who are you looking for?
Nate Solder. They drafted Nate Solder the year before Matt Light retired, and this seems like it could be the year. I'd like to see him go defense with Micah Parsons or another good linebacker there at 15, but offensive lines just seems like a good way to go, because again, your tackle positions are nothing after this year.
They've sucked so bad. Antonio Garcia, they drafted for the left tackle position.
You did.
They got
hit
a
on
Neenwa.
Solder. You did hit on Solder.
I guess
you
Wynn.
did on a Neenwa. You did hit on Wynn. I think Wynn's a stud when he's healthy, but the problem is when is the big if there, when he's healthy. And you did hit on Matt Light, picking him in the 2nd round. And again, Nate Solder played his rookie year at right tackle. So I wouldn't be surprised if you kind of see something like that. And you want to talk about the guard position, you could move Isaiah Wynn back to his natural position at left guard if you want to address that left tackle position. And then you're fucking real deep at offensive line. So I mean,
so you agree with me though? You'd like them to move forward in the draft and filling through in the core positions,
the line position,
from the football out, and not taking draft capital, trading up for big guys.
Because I mentioned to you
positions
before, Rich, they're not going to trade up into the top 10. I think you need a top 10 to get a quarterback, and Bill's not going to trade next year's first to get a quarterback unless it was Deshaun Watson pre-rape allegations.
I have to imagine, Ray, as big of a star fucker as you are, you would not mind them packaging some picks and getting a quarterback that you like, or some stud position player that you even if it's a defensive end stack guy, you're a star fucker. I have to imagine that you'd be okay with them bucking their trend, taking some draft capital and identifying a guy and going and getting him.
I agree with that, but not in the draft. I think you should do it and get Jimmy G. You need to get a quarterback that you know can play in the NFL. I don't like the risk of taking a guy in the. I don't like taking a guy in the draft because it's a hit or miss. I mean, how many of these guys pan out in the first round that you guys trade all this draft capital up to get? Not a lot of them hit. Not a lot of them hit, and not a lot of them stay. I mean, look at the stat they just gave. 22 of the quarterbacks drafted since 2016 aren't on the same team anymore. So, I mean, none of these guys stay with the same team, and they actually move on to a different team, and then they start showing how good they are. So I think if you take something, like if you trade back to 21, like you said, and get a couple more second-round picks, throw that to San Francisco. I think draft night is going to be the time that you see Jimmy G moved, and I think that if you can get enough assets to move him, that's what's going to happen.
Let me, if you can move your way up, the Patriots have been rumored to be able to move their way up to fifth, maybe sixth. You're talking about Cincinnati, who doesn't need a quarterback, and Philadelphia, the sixth place, who doesn't need a quarterback if they like Jalen Hurts. And you have a good reputation, a good rapport with Philadelphia in trading. If you can package your 15th, and it's like a second and a third to get up to that 6th-round draft pick, based on the Felger and Maz math through the Jimmy Johnson bullshit, right? Point system and everything else that he had for both. If you can do that, and then you call San Francisco and say, I'll give you the 6th, Justin Fields is on the board. Do they do it?
Yes.
Oh, San Francisco would do it in a heartbeat.
Do you do it? Ray,
yes.
I see you shaking your head.
I wouldn't do it. Why
you
package?
You fucking just said that's what
it's not gonna take a 5th overall pick to get Jimmy G.
No, but you give up a first, a second, and a third.
They're not taking your 15.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If you give up a first, a second, and a third, yeah, that first might be a 5th round. I mean, the first overall pick. But if you think about it in the long run, you're basically giving up the 15th, a second, which was your second, middle of the 2nd round, and you have a middle of the 3rd round pick. You give him your highest 3rd round pick. You already lost yours, but you got a comp pick. You're not giving up that much if you think about it to get Jimmy G. If you're a quarterback away, you do that. That's a deal you make.
But Bray, you just made that point. You just made the point that the guys coming out of the draft are unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get. My point of trading up to them is because San Francisco's not taking your calls. And I have to imagine, maybe
for a 3rd round pick is what he was offering, wasn't it?
No, that was just speculation. No one knows what the Patriots have offered Jimmy G. The San Francisco 49ers have not taken their calls. My point is, like, can you make them an offer that they can't refuse? And is it that important?
That would be the one that they can't refuse.
It was that important. Jimmy G is more important than 3, 4, 5 other picks at DN, linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver. It doesn't matter. Get your quarterback. And if your quarterback is Jimmy G and it takes a 6th overall pick to get him, then make the move and go fucking do it. And honestly, every other year except for this, I would say never going to happen. Never going to happen. But based on what we've seen out of the Patriots organization, I'm not putting that past them. I'm not putting it past them.
I have a question for you. Do you think they could trade up to get the 6th overall pick, get Jimmy G, then somehow come back, get the 7th overall pick,
Jesus,
are you talking about draft day? Are you talking about draft? And to answer your question, yes. If Kevin Costner can do it, Bill Belichick can do it.
You think he's watching game tapes with Nike, just watching that over and over again? We could do it, Nike.
I think he's called Jennifer Gardner and said, "Do you have Kevin Costner's number? I would like to talk to him." How'd you do that, Kev?
Bill, you know it was a movie, right? No, seriously, Kev. How'd you do it?
How'd you do it? Talk to me.
That was the worst movie ever.
I'm going to watch it tonight, actually. Ingrid, fire up the fucking movie machine. We're watching Draft Day.
Again.
It's with Kevin Costner, so you know it's good. Bill said so. I do like that idea. You trade all of your picks for the 6th, then you somehow circle your way back into the 1st round.
Yeah, you just trade next year's full draft.
Yeah, I've done it in Madden 1,000 times.
It works every time.
Every time.
Wonders.
Every GM accepts it in Madden. Why won't it work in NFL?
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the quarterback because it's not worth talking. We've talked
about that 1,000
1,000 times.
times. 1,000 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 times. 1
let's just say it one more time, because it does. The expectations do move and change. Cam Newton as your quarterback, currently constituted. They do everything you want them to do in the draft outside of picking a quarterback. What's your expectations?
Wild card.
Win or loss?
Win.
Bill or Ray?
Wait, you're saying they're going to go to the wild card and win?
Yeah.
So that means they're going to go to the divisional round and lose, you fucking idiot.
I said the wild
potatoes,
card. I
potatoes,
said they
right?
were.
Jesus.
I said they're a wild card team.
Picking a fight for
And
nothing.
then Rich asked me if they would win or lose that wild card game. I said they were a wild card team. And
Divisional round.
Win or lose.
Win or lose.
Lose.
You're an asshole. See? Well, this is why I asked the question, because
Thank you.
last time we talked to you, you said winning the AFC Championship,
Well,
which
I'm a homer.
anybody else would say making the Super Bowl. So you're a fucking idiot. I got them losing in the wild card game. So there you go. I said it most definitively. No one had to ask me a question. They lose in the wild card round.
True.
Because Cam Newton fucking blows. All right, this has been the Simple Mind Sports Show. Fat Tuesdays. What day is it? March 23rd. The calendar's right in front of me, and I went Tuesday, 2/9/16. Yes, 23rd.
Yep.
That's today. Okay.
Let's go, Pats.
Cool, Bill. Bye.
Bye-bye. Very good.
Your boiler is driving me
Yeah, my heat's off.
insane.
My heat's off for good. It's not coming back on. I'm in shorts. Shorts weather comes. Heat's off.
You're muted.
Sorry.
It's worse.
It's worse. Mute yourself.
Somehow it's worse. Unbelievable. What?
I didn't say anything.
Oh. Well, why are you turning it on if you have nothing to say? It's just your fucking heat, you fatty.
So stupid.